Sorry, I got a phone call. I had to pause. So let's continue this. Hopefully, I can get through the rest of it at this point. There's only about 10 minutes left. Um, so let's go. Let's go.
Can't say this, but like it's like you guys are kind of trying to like feed me. Like, no, I'm just trying to show you a video that you no longer want to watch because you probably don't want to know the outcome of how and what you said. Well, I know what. You know what's on that video now? No. You remember making that video? No. Why don't you remember making the video? Probably because we had been drinking. But you weren't drunk. No.
Right.
Just because I went upstairs and just because you're drunk doesn't mean that
times that you were not drunk. You said that you had your wits about you. You said he had his wits about you.
Mm-hmm.
You said that you don't like not having your wits. What do you think is going to happen if you leave somebody in a confined space like that?
Well, I thought by not giving it up all the way, it would be okay. My plan was not to leave him in the suitcase.
What was your plan?
Waiting for him to come upstairs. And then when he didn't, I fell asleep.
You said you were up there.
But it kind of sounds like what they're alluding to, though, is that the injuries observed are not consistent with what has been described so far. So how did she get him into the suitcase in the first place? Because I think initially, like in the beginning of the video, she said something about them playing hide and seek, right? Which is fucking ridiculous. You know, when I was a little kid, I'm not going to name names, Sarah, but if they watch this video, they're going to know exactly that I'm talking about them. There were a couple of girls that lived on my block, and they had this play table that you could lift up, and it had like a storage area in it. And we all went through the process of seeing if we could fit in that space. And there was one time that my friend, her sister got in, her little sister got in, and she sat on top of it. And this is a very small space. Now, she did let her out in time, but that is fucking terrifying. And that was, I never did that again after that. Like, we were constantly trying to get into small spaces, but we were like 8, 9, 7, we were little kids. And I'll tell you, that was the last time that game was ever fucking played. When we realized that somebody could trap us inside that space, fuck no. I find it unusual that this fellow would have just willingly climbed into a suitcase because they were playing hide and seek, regardless of how drunk he was. And it sounds like he already had some like blunt force trauma on the left side of his head. So sounds like I'm very curious how this is going to end. It sounds like she hit him with something to knock him out, put him in the suitcase, and then zip it up. That's what it sounds like to me. But I don't know. Let's see how this goes.
30 minutes. After 30 minutes, somebody not coming up.
Knowing that the last time you saw him was in the suitcase, 30 minutes later, you're like, maybe I should go check on him? Maybe I shouldn't? No. That didn't cross your mind. That's like an assumption. Like, that's what you all are thinking. Just,
we're asking.
It's the whole...
You tell us.
It's the drinking.
Okay, so you were punishing him for drinking? Is that what's happening here? You were punishing him for drinking? Because I used to date a drunk who was an absolute horror in my life, and I never locked him in a suitcase. I never did anything to jeopardize his life. I just kicked him the hell out of my house, is what I did.
That's what it is. It's the drinking.
Okay.
I thought it was like, I thought he was okay. Like, I didn't,
He's telling you he's not. he's telling you.
By the way, oftentimes when people drink excessively, it causes inflammation in the throat, which makes it even more difficult to breathe.
I can't breathe. He's saying your name, and you're like, "That's my name. Don't wear it out."
Guys, that's how we are with each other. Like, he has...
So
nobody understands our relationship. This whole suitcase thing never happened before. Would you leave someone else in a suitcase? Would you leave Lucas in a suitcase jokingly? Because it was a joking matter. You put him in there jokingly. Would you leave Lucas jokingly in there? And you love Lucas, right? And you I wouldn't do that to him either. I wouldn't do that to him. So...
Oh, did you see what the detective did there? She made the assumption that she did put him in the suitcase. And I think that's a fair assumption at this point. He already had head injuries. I think that that is a fair assumption that she somehow got him into the suitcase.
I just... Well, it's not like... Again, I don't think you all understand. Like, it's... I mean, it's not my... That was not my intention.
Well,
y'all don't have any idea what I've done for him.
But by your acts, and that's exactly right. You get to the point where you've done so much for somebody and they don't show you any appreciation.
He did.
Up until this moment, Sarah has denied being intoxicated. Her slurring in the recording, and even more damningly, forgetting it was on her phone, prove otherwise. This exchange also exposes the contradiction between Sarah's claim she left George able to escape and her subsequent pivot to blaming alcohol for passing out in bed. When Sarah refers to the detectives as guys, it reveals her belief that they are her equals, that she can still get them on side, much like George's probation officer, with whom she shared hugs and lengthy phone calls. Yet, as the interview
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, with these folks, with everybody who's ever been, you know, like sexually harassed me or come after me for whatever reason, they do the same bullshit of acting like they can manipulate everybody around me to tell their narrative of their false narratives of what it is they want to do. I mean, even just as recently as like last summer, when I had a friend completely turn against me while I was trying to do a union organizing effort, and he tried to contact my mother and tell my canvassers that she was a close friend of his, which was fucking ridiculous. That is how they do. That's how abusers do. They try and like get in there to your own tight relations and separate you and tell a false narrative. And I've had this happen so many ever since the pandemic. I mean, even before that, like, this is a common technique that people use to try and make it so that you get separated from the people closest to you. They try and do that. The people who are responsible for you, who can impact your life, who are closest to you. That is exactly how they do. Is they get right in there and tell a false narrative and make it out like they are they have such a better relationship with people that you're closer to than they are. But you know, I'm the authority figure in the room. That is exactly how abusers do.
Presses the detective's refusal to buy into her camaraderie will chip away at her facade of charisma.
So if you weren't intoxicated, then why would you ever leave somebody in a suitcase that's begging to get out, that's telling you they can't breathe?
If I hadn't been drinking, you still think it would be the same thing? Where it's like, hop in, I'm going to go to sleep. Is that what you all are trying to do? To portray me as?
We're not trying to do anything. I'm simply asking you to explain to me what happened.
Everything was fine and dandy.
Everything fine and dandy.
Was fine and dandy. You also, okay, for me to tell you this, again, mind you, I've been without him for a day now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't No. I mean, I don't know what you all want me to tell you, because this was not in any way, shape, or form, hand on the Bible, intentional.
Okay. So you just left
I
him
didn't
there to
kill him.
You left him there to teach him a lesson?
I didn't mean to leave him there. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
You got up and walked away. How is that not intentionally leaving him there?
Because I'm looking at the hole, knowing that it's there. He'll get out and no harm. Because you
And
don't.
then he doesn't,
But
but you don't go check on him. You say you're up for 30 minutes, and he doesn't come up. You don't go down and check on him?
I'm in the bed.
You even move.
It goes off.
You admit to moving the suitcase over. So
Roll it.
you roll it out. Like, it's not like
I didn't want it to be like that.
you didn't want him to be upside down. How do you even get upside down?
I
Oh, God, he was upside down.
You guys are killing me right now.
Sarah cannot provide a reasonable answer to the detective's questions, so instead responds antagonistically, raising her voice in an attempt to verbally overpower her interrogators. This reaction is consistent with how a covert narcissist can behave during a narcissistic collapse, which occurs when the individual feels trapped or humiliated. It's also notable that Sarah's focus momentarily fractures as Detective Connolly begins playing the video once more. This serves to disrupt Sarah's train of thought, to the extent she trails off and defaults to her stonewalling defense of, "I don't know what you want me to say." In one of Sarah's most incriminating slip-ups, she reveals the truth behind one of her most frequent rationalizations of George's death being unintentional.
I don't know. Like, I don't know if you saw, like, where the hole was. I don't
I
know.
didn't see a hole.
No
I
one
didn't
sees
see
the
no
hole.
fingers
You're the
sticking
only
out.
one that's what I'm saying. Like, he's in one position, and where his head would be, we should be able to see fingers. And then when it's flipped over onto this right side, again, his head is closer to us facing the video, so we should be able to see fingers. And we don't see anything. We see no movement of him trying to unzip it or physically unzipping it. All we see is pushing up, trying to push out of it.
Please do not assume.
Oh, my
I'm
God.
not assuming. I haven't assumed anything. I follow evidence.
I was trying to do CPR. I had to get him out and try to do CPR. And I was continually doing CPR with the dispatch on the phone, where he had me count out loud to help me focus on what I was doing.
It just, I don't know how, I mean, you can sit here all day long and say, I thought he was going to get himself out, but that he didn't. And you went upstairs and you stayed there for 30 minutes before you fell asleep.
But can I say too, like,
You chose not to ever at any point during that 30 minutes walk back down and check on him.
no, wait 1 second, because I know, like, with you all, and then, like, because you can continually ask me, like, time frames, where I told you, like, I don't bother even looking at the clock most of the time. So it's like a guesstimate. So for all I know, maybe it was 10 minutes.
But the point is, you left the living room where he was begging for help and went upstairs. Regardless of
again-
how long you were there, you left. You say,
I thought he was the boy calling wolf. Again.
Okay.
So when he asked to be let out, like, what's your reasoning for not letting him out?
When I was upstairs,
No, when he's asking on the video, he asked multiple times. He asked to be let out. I can't breathe. What? Like, why didn't you let him out?
well, number one, I had no idea it was going to end like that.
Okay.
Number one.
Okay.
Number two, just, you know what? I'll give you 5 minutes or so, and then I'll give you 5 minutes or so.
This is the chilling offhand comment that reveals Sarah's claims that George could escape his suitcase prison to be untrue. While Sarah continues to reiterate her stance that George's death was unintentional, she is still arrested at the end.
Yeah,
At
of
this
course.
point, in the cruelest of ironies, she thinks nothing of raising her concerns. She'll be placed in a small holding cell, not 48 hours after she zipped George into a far more confined space, which led to his death. It seems thus far that the prosecution process will be as frustratingly circular as this interrogation. Sarah's trial has now been rescheduled 4 times, and she is currently on her 6th attorney. Letters sent by Sarah to the court provide a glimpse into how she is able to present herself as competent and rational when the need arises, and she is without.
Wait, which Orange County is this? There's actually, now that I'm thinking of it, there are several Orange counties in the United States. Is this Orange County, California? Where the hell did this happen? Sarah Boone called the police after finding her partner's body inside a suitcase after playing hide and seek the night before. The following day, detectives invite Sarah to the police department and confront her with a video taken on the night of her partner's death that she has no memory of recording. Which Orange County is it? Is it Orange County, California, or is it Orange County, Florida? Or is it Orange County, New York? Which Orange County is it? Come on. All right.
Challenge. When discussing her difficulty in communicating with her attorney, Sarah ponders if she's being penalized for wanting to be involved in every.
What, did she learn how to write in like Comic Sans? What kind of fucking hand? What kind of printing is that?
Thing in her case and intelligent enough to know her case is being handled. Sarah's trial is scheduled for the 10th of April 2023, after being rescheduled 3 times previously. This most recent delay was likely caused by her lawyer petitioning the court to be removed from her case. While it seems that both Sarah and George engaged in violent behavior through their relationship, it is George who died in the most horrific way on the night of the 23rd of February, 2020. He was 42 years old and is survived by a very large family consisting of his parents, 3 children, and 9 siblings, whose lives have been forever changed by his loss.
Okay.